All right, we're back. So the issue, and I sent this to Rickochet separately, so this should be fixed by the time this video goes up. Um, the route flag wasn't set properly. So for all of you romhack creators out there, when you're setting your events, you want to make sure that your trigger flag is route and your completion flag is the seize flag. And the reason you want to do that is because the completion flag, or rather the seize flag specifically, is what triggers the end event, while the route flag is what triggers the system to look and call the seize flag, which then calls the end event. I think that's how I would describe it at the very least. It's not super intuitive because you would think, okay, the completion flag is route. If the map's routed, it should call the end event. It doesn't work like that in the GBA. So you want to make sure that the trigger event is what happens on the map. So in this case, we routed the map. That should trigger the function of seizing a chair, which then calls the end event. Little counterintuitive at first, but once you get it, it makes things a lot easier. So you just want to make sure your complete events are sent to seize flag. Anyways, Nadia, it's such a surprise to see you're here. How long has it been? Caitlin, it's been far too long. I didn't expect to see so many bandits, though. I didn't expect them to appear either. The Bone Brigade has been sighted more frequently as of late, probably taking advantage of the already sparse patriots? I didn't quite catch that. I think there was a text skip. Oh, that was a delicious meal, Lady Caitlin. Food dialogue. I'm with it. A very filling meal. The potato pork stew had so much flavor in it. Oh, man, this is my kind of hack. It's one of my favorites as well. I'm glad everyone enjoyed the feast. Does anyone want more wine? I think we're good on that. What is it, Nadia? Oh, ha. What? Looks like Rex had a little too much to drink. Where is he? It's been awfully quiet. It's passed out over there on the couch. Sigh. So on to business then. Richard. Nice tone change. You mentioned you traveled here looking for me specifically. What is it that you're looking for? Well, I know it might sound absurd, but I'm not from around here, and I'm looking for a way back home. I'm not quite following. How do I put this? I'm from another realm, and I'm not quite sure how to get back. Nadia mentioned that you like to collect books on obtuse subjects, and I was hoping you might have something on portals or gates. That does sound quite far-fetched. But I do believe I've come across this topic before. Have any of you heard of the Outrealm Gates? I can't say that I have. Mervyn hasn't played Fire Emblem Awakening, or Fates. What are those? Well, supposedly they are portals leading to another realm. They are scattered throughout the continent of Eldrago. That's good, right? All you have to do is get Richard to one of them and he can go home. That's the theory, anyway. No one has been able to activate any of the gates. At least none I have talked to. He's traveled to the great libraries of Iliad. I read up on these gates, but no one knows how they got there or where, nor does anyone know who built them. Do you know the location of any of them, Caitlin? There's one nearby, deep inside the Foglands! Oh man, this is my kind of place. I guess that's good and bad news. But wait, how did you end up here in Eldrago in the first place, Richard? Well, I'm actually not sure. I remember one moment I was walking, and then a feeling of falling washed over me, and after I found myself in the middle of a forest. I didn't realize I was on Eldrago until half a year later. It's been about 1 year since I found myself in the middle of that forest. Interesting tale. Well, you're welcome to browse through the books in my personal collection, but I'm afraid I may not be of much help. It was worth a shot. Could you tell me about the location of the gate that you mentioned earlier? I'll have some prepare map for you. Thanks, it's much appreciated. Joffrey, Monty, how are you two settling in? I'm fine. This is a nice place. Can't complain. That's good to hear. Well, it's good to see you two. I'm glad you guys are alright. I have many questions, so I'll answer as best I can. Alright, I'll go first then. What happened in the fields that day? After meeting you and Monty in the town, things got a bit frantic. How are you even alive? Yeah, everything was so chaotic. All I remember is after we liberated the town, there was this big explosion that knocked me off my feet. Found myself waking up later, and you two were nowhere to be found. The rest of the town was destroyed, not a single survivor. Thinking I was the only survivor, I made my way to the next town. From there, I just kept going from town to town trying to find more information about how I could get home. Wait, that doesn't... We left town together. The last we saw of you was at the Prophet's home in the mountains. There was a big explosion, but it was from that druid we encountered. We ran into Alessia, but she was in trouble. Oh, the premonition druid! Okay. We're getting somewhere here. What? Alessia's alive? Huh? You were there, Richard. This isn't adding up. We did liberate the town and we left to seek the Prophet for aid. I must have had a concussion or something. I don't remember leaving the town. Is Alessia alright? Where is she? Richard, please tell me. She's fine, but she isn't your friend or ours. What? Of course she is. Joffrey, we were all there. You, Alessia, Craig, King Desmond? From FE7? Ah! Ew! Richard. What's wrong? My head. What was that? Didn't you guys hear it? No, there was nothing. You were saying? We were there to see the prophet, but you found out your friend was in trouble and ran after her, so we all had to run after you deeper into the mountains. After the skirmish with Iliad's soldiers, a druid appeared in Alessia. She turned out to be a double agent. We don't know her agenda, but she was working with this druid. She revealed the whole thing right before she sent a blast of magic at us. She was part of the reason why Ashia fell, her and Lana. I knew something was off about her. You remember Lana but not Alessia? Lana was there when King Deadmoosman was killed. There's a group of people Lana was with, but I've never seen them before. I think you may have hit your head harder than you think when that explosion happened. Maybe. But how'd you guys end up in the swamps? With Ashia gone and Monty defecting from Mora, we had to keep our heads down for a while. Eventually our coin pouches were running low, so we decided to travel as guards for Anna's caravan. Well, I'm glad you guys are alright. I'm going to call it a night. Head is still pounding. Take it easy, Richard. Hope she's going to be alright. Being so far from home and losing his friends. Going to call it a night too. Good night, Monty. Good night. Dude, Monty's dope. A few days later. Sigh. Didn't mean to startle you. Something the matter? I was just about to ask you the same thing. Everything alright, Richard? It's nothing. You lost someone, haven't you? I like how Ike just shows up to console Richard. A whole bunch of someones. What happened? I was at Ashia when it fell. I watched as the king was slain. Should be slain. And I ran as my friends were struck down by some dark magic. I ran like a coward, Richard. I'm not going to sit here and say whether what you did was right or wrong. Only you yourself would know. Should know if it was the correct choice. I myself have lost people too. But I carry on. Their memory will live on in me. You need to trust yourself. Trust the gut feeling we get in dire times. Leaders rarely get to be doubters. What are you talking about? I'm no leader. I'm no fighter. I'm nothing but a runner. Dude, you have the worn blade. You're fine. That's not what I saw. Today on the battlefield, the others looked to you for guidances. Even though Lady Caitlin is used to giving out orders, she followed you today. She followed you because she saw something in you that she doesn't have. You say you aren't a leader, fighter, but only a runner. Maybe being a runner is what old Drago needs right now. Surviving to live another day. Maybe you aren't a leader after all, but you took charge when the situation needed someone to. And you are still alive, here today. That, to me, is by definition, a fighter. Aye. I'm not saying that there won't be bad days ahead, because there will be more. But you can't have light without shadows. Believe and trust in yourself. Because all anyone can ask for is that you do your best. I don't know what to say. You sound like you speak from personal experience. I had my fair share of bad days, yeah, no question about that. But I always keep moving forward. Come, let us spar. Let me spar with you. Is there something wrong with that? No, it's just it would be an honor. And I mentioned earlier that you are also known as the hero of Blue Flames. Ha, Anna should have been a bard. Same with the should have. Instead of here she is, chasing around coin like a mercenary. Ha, I like your sense of humor. Come, let us spar. I like how Ike's like, alright, you're a fighter, now let's fight. It's time to hit the road. Looks like a nice and sunny day today. Are you sure you don't want to join us, Caitlin? I know how much you love to travel. You read my mind, but alas, I have to take care of the people. There's not going to be any help from the capital, so someone has to step up. What about you, Ike? Where will you be headed? Wherever the winds end up taking me. Hopefully there will be strong opponents there. Oh, Nadia, before I forget, the courier pigeon came for you yesterday. Oh, thank you. I also managed to get the materials to fix your bow. Do you have the box I gave you earlier, Richard? Yep, right here. Pinaka. No, I didn't know what else to say. Just promise you'll come back to visit. I definitely will. I wish you all the best on your journeys. I've taken the liberty of sending some supplies with everyone. Let me go make sure they were packed correctly. Anna. Yes, I think you should travel with them. It'll be good for you. What? What about traveling with you? I'll be fine. You need to be around people more. It's not good to be in your head all the time. If you say so, Ike. That is, if Richard will have you. We'll be glad to have you join us, Anna. It'll be nice to have another girl around to talk to. Oh, in that case, let me grab my things. She was rather excited. She doesn't have many friends. It's better if she travels with the group, and I can tell you, you bunch will treat her well. Richard. What is it? I hadn't forgotten your help the other day. If it weren't for you, I'd probably have a blade in my back. Dude, I don't think so. I don't buy that for a second. Did you see how that guy with the sword weaver had like 5 hit on you, Ike? Oh, there's no need anyone would have done what I did. You'd be surprised at what people do. Still, you have my gratitude. This is the sword I've come across in my travels. May it serve you well. Thank you, Ike. I'll use it well. The light brand. Pretty epic. Okay. Nadia only +1 defense, +1 speed. Okay. Okay, everything is all set. Don't forget Nadia, and for everyone else too. You're always welcome here. Thank you for everything, Caitlin. Don't worry, I'll be back to visit Caitlin. I think there was too much Caitlin in that sentence. Okay, let's do this. Take care of yourself, Anna. And Richard, maybe meet again. Welcome aboard, Anna. Let's head out. That's chapter 3. So I know I kind of covered this in the last video, and I'm going to have this one just be a shorty, just because that end event did take a while to get through, and I don't have time to play another one right now, so I'm going to cut it here. But I'll say that there's a lot happening, and I think there's an opportunity to refine that. I do think that you should change the objective from route. I feel like a route map isn't really narratively what's needed. Like in the first map, route made sense. I think in this map, it really should be either defend or defeat boss. And the reason I'm saying that is because you're rushing to defend Valerie, and Varbin wants the castle. So either he gets the castle or he dies, and then everyone scatters. And so I feel like he's really the linchpin to the whole thing. I feel like Ike feels very shoehorned into this. Maybe it'll make sense later, but right now, like, I'm surprised that there was nothing about like Ike also being a traveler from another world, really. Like, it didn't really come up as being like a problem he was facing. He kind of just seems to be chilling in El Drago doing his thing. So I feel like there's more that could be expanded on there. I feel like manicuring the map so that it's clearer. I think just transparency, right? Like, is Ike supposed to work his way up to the boss and steal the kill? I feel like he's supposed to, and that's fine. As far as the village at the bottom, I think you need to, one, signal to the player that it's under threat. I think you need to give the player some warning when enemies are going to spawn. I feel like the extra reinforcements from the right and the side can be really unfortunate if you go down that path to like rush straight for the village. I think some of the choke points should be widened a bit so it's easier to walk through, because there's a lot of space on the map, and the spaces are kind of empty because there's most of the map I don't really need to go to. Part of that's because the enemies charge, which is fine in a route map, but the other part of it is that Ike clears out so much. I'm really just like going to save Delphine and then going to the castle and going to the village, and it's kind of like I'm using less than like 2/3 of the map or so. I don't think you need the reinforcements in a route map. I think that's one of the reasons why I think defend would make more sense, because I think route signals to the player, this is everyone I need to defeat is here. And I think with the defend map, it's like, okay, I need to hold this point. And I think that gives you more liberty to kind of add more enemies and at least like slow down Ike a bit more, because he got there pretty quickly. I think changing some of that terrain over will help as well, to make it so that you have a better chance of getting to Ike to talk to him. Other than that, yeah, I think the last video I kind of went through most of what I wanted to share on it. Again, I feel like you're trying to do a lot here, and I think that's fine, but let's think about how we can better achieve what you're going for. And I think the best change would be removing the route objective and making it like 8 turns defense. Something like that. Because then the boss becomes a really interesting anti-turtle, right? It's like, well, I want the Night Crest. I really need to rush over there. But now I'm going to be spread thin and I can't defend Delphine as well, because she's under immediate threat too. And then there's the village. So there's a lot of pressing objectives, which I really like. And I think because it's route, I have a lot more time to do that. And I feel like defend allows me as the player to either think, okay, I have 8 turns to get all this stuff, or, hey, I'm actually not in a great spot. I'm just going to try and defend Delphine and stay put. Maybe get the village. That's also fine. Route kind of means I have to do everything, and I don't have a reason to rush as much as I feel like you want me to. At least that's kind of how I'm reading the situation. I would also probably make it so the reinforcements, if they do come, only come in defend map, and they should be telegraphed to the player so they know, like how you did in the last map where you said, oh, the reinforcements are going to come from this side. That's really helpful. And I feel like here I could have gotten really screwed if I tried to send units to the right, because I would have been surrounded by 5+ new enemies, and that could have been really rough and basically be like an ambush, which I'm not a big fan of. And I also am not a big fan of small houses that give items. I feel like most players are conditioned to ignore that. I only really visited because I had time after I routed the map. So something to consider there too. But overall, this one needs some work. It's playable, but it needs some work. And I think with a couple of changes, and I challenge you to think about that a bit more, I think that it can be in a good place. I would say just overall on the map itself, it's just a little too big. And I think widening some of the chokes and making it a little bit smaller to traverse and easier to traverse would help the overarching flow. So I hope that's helpful, Ricochet. And that's all I got. So I will see you guys next time for Chapter 4, Ruins of Temra. Until then.